On June 17, 2026, GitHub shipped a feature that quietly restructured how millions of developers interact with AI. It's called Agent Finder. On the surface, it looks like a settings panel, a place to browse, select, and authorize which AI agents, MCP servers, and third-party skills GitHub Copilot can access. Underneath, it represents something far more significant: the transformation of Copilot from a single AI assistant into an orchestration layer, a switchboard. This isn't just a product update, it's an architectural philosophy change, one that hands control of the agent stack directly to the developer. At its core, Agent Finder is a discovery and configuration interface embedded within GitHub Copilot. Developers can browse a registry of available agents, some built by GitHub, others by third parties, alongside model context protocol servers that expose specific tools, data sources, and capabilities. Each agent or MCP server lists its permissions, capabilities, and scope. The developer chooses which ones Copilot can invoke. Think of it like an app store, but for AI capabilities. You're not installing software. You're composing an intelligence layer. You decide whether Copilot can reach your sentry logs, your internal documentation agent, your compliance checker, or a specialized code review model built by another team. Before Agent Finder, Copilot was fundamentally monolithic. One model, one context window, one set of capabilities defined by GitHub. Extensions existed, yes. GitHub had been expanding Copilot's extensibility since 2024 with chat participants and skill integrations. But Agent Finder formalizes something different. It positions Copilot as a router. When a developer asks a question or requests an action, Copilot can now delegate to the most appropriate agent or tool in the developer's configured stack. The model doesn't need to know everything. It needs to know who to ask. This is the orchestration pattern that AI infrastructure researchers have been theorizing about, and GitHub just made it a default developer experience. None of this works without the Model Context Protocol. MCP, originally introduced by Anthropic in November 2024, established an open standard for connecting AI models to external tools and data sources. Throughout 2025, MCP adoption accelerated. GitHub integrated MCP support into Copilot, and by early 2026, developers could configure custom MCP servers to give Copilot access to internal APIs, databases, and proprietary toolchains. Agent Finder builds directly on this foundation. It doesn't replace custom MCP setups, it gives them a front door. Teams already running bespoke MCP configurations now have a standardized way to register, share, and manage those connections across their organization. The critical design decision here is consent. Copilot doesn't automatically connect to every available agent. The developer, or their organization's administrator, explicitly chooses what's accessible. In a landscape increasingly anxious about AI systems acting autonomously, this is deliberate. GitHub's approach treats agent access like permissions, not defaults. According to GitHub's documentation, organizations can set policies governing which agents are approved for use, while individual developers retain the ability to configure their personal stack within those boundaries. It's a governance model. And for enterprise teams navigating security reviews and compliance requirements, that distinction between opt-in and opt-out is everything. For teams that invested early in custom MCP servers and internal agents, Agent Finder solves a real friction problem. Before, sharing a custom MCP configuration meant distributing JSON files, writing setup documentation, and hoping teammates configured things correctly. Now, an internal agent can be registered and discoverable through Agent Finder. A platform engineering team can publish a deployment agent. A security team can offer a vulnerability scanning skill. Adoption becomes frictionless. This is where the network effects begin. The easier it is to publish and discover agents, the more agents get built, and the more valuable the orchestration layer becomes. GitHub is making a platform bet. By opening Copilot to third-party agents, they're inviting the entire developer tooling ecosystem to plug in. If you're Datadog, you ship a Copilot agent that lets developers query monitoring data through natural language. If you're Snyk, your agent surfaces vulnerability context during code review. The incentive structure mirrors what made GitHub's marketplace and actions ecosystem successful. Reduce the distance between a developer's intent and the tool that fulfills it. But now the interface isn't a CLI or a browser tab, it's a conversation. The implications for developer tool companies are significant. The ones that ship high-quality agents early gain a distribution advantage that compounds. This isn't without tension. Every agent added to a developer's stack is a new surface area for security risk. Malicious or poorly built agents could leak context, hallucinate tool calls, or introduce subtle errors. GitHub will need robust vetting processes, and it remains unclear how rigorous those are at launch. There's also the lock-in question. If Copilot becomes the orchestration layer developers depend on, switching costs rise. And for the open-source community, there's a philosophical concern. Does centralizing agent discovery under one corporate platform undermine the decentralized promise that MCP was designed to enable? These are early days. The answers will depend on execution. Agent Finder is not by itself revolutionary. It's a feature, a panel, a registry. But what it represents, the explicit shift from AI as tool to AI as orchestration layer, governed by developer choice, is a meaningful inflection point. The developer doesn't just use an AI anymore. They compose one. They decide what it can see, what it can do, and which specialized intelligences it can call upon. GitHub has bet that the future of AI-assisted development isn't one model that does everything. It's a coordinated system of many, and the developer sits at the center, deciding which agents earn their trust. That's a future worth watching carefully.